You're listening to Career Compass with Patrick and Cha-Cha on Base 101.1 FM.
It is time for Career Compass. My name is Cha-Cha, the one and only Happy Fairy. I've got Patrick in the studio, the Almighty. Patrick the Almighty. Good morning.
Morning, Cha-Cha. How's the weekend?
Oh, it was fine, Sha. It was okay. It was very good. I hope you're fine. I hope you're doing good.
I'm good. Nice to be here again.
Last week you had so much in the studio. Last week was Daddy's day out.
Yes, it was. We had Daddy's little helpers with us in the studio.
Right.
They're not here today.
They're not.
So it's just you and I.
I can't wait to see them again. That's Children's Day.
Children's Day, definitely.
Woo, my hosts. Like us, if you're just tuned in, this is the hour every single Monday from 10 to 10:30. We talk about what's happening. We started off the series talking about how to get a job, when you get the job. And now imagine you've gotten this job of your dreams. There's something about getting a job and then being in a space where it's very conducive. And a lot of people go to work angrily. They're sad because they know that life is going to be drained out of them at a workplace. Now, sometimes some people there's a difference between being in a toxic environment and also just being stressed at work. Some people would say because they're stressed, their work is toxic. How do you describe your office or your workplace? How do you know when it is toxic?
All right. I love the way you started when you said you finally got in the dream job. And the dream job turns to a living nightmare. Yeah, so a day at the office. I don't know if you watched this series they called Survivor. I don't know if you watched Survivor before. All right, so a day at the office just looks like, you're playing Survivor. It's eat or get eaten.
Yeah.
So there are different signs, tell signs that help you realize that you are in a toxic environment. Right. And we'll just go ahead to mention one of them. I think the first one, everything to me starts and falls on leadership. So if you work in an environment where there's no accountability in leadership, so if anything goes right, leadership takes the credit, and if it goes wrong, it's on you. I don't know if you've ever such an environment, you're literally walking on eggshells, right? Because if anything goes wrong, the hot potato is going to be left squarely in your laps. And then, high levels of stress and burnout. So when you go to work, you're tired before you even get the mere thought of the office, you already feel drained, not talk of when you're in the office. So, I mean, one of the causes of stress is when you are overburdened. You have one person doing the job of 3-4 people and, receiving the salary of, less than one person. Half a person ahead, but you're doing the workload of 3-4 people. Employees are not encouraged to take breaks. I've seen a case where an employee received a query for a disciplinary action while he was on vacation.
Oh wow.
Yes. In fact, they called this employee from his vacation to attend a disciplinary. Oh God. Nothing where Musa does never see from it.
Now you be the employee.
I said I've heard of. So the employee from vacation was called in for a disciplinary committee meeting. Why? Because he did not respond to his emails while on vacation. So I mean, you're tired will be tired because you don't have any time to disconnect from work. You literally, even if you're a machine and you leave a machine on 24/7, the machine will break down at some point in time. Another very clear sign of a toxic environment is where there's bullying, harassment. Any kind of bullying or harassment. It could be sexual harassment, psychological harassment, any form of aggression. It would surprise you. There are companies where you have managers who are physically violent. Yes, they throw temper tantrums. And, they get physical with their team members. I heard of a case where that happened and the employer, he slapped a female employee and that was it. Everybody said, you know what? This is the straw that has broken the camel's back. Members of management team actually hired a lawyer for the lady.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they did. They hired a lawyer and told her, ask for XYZ amount. You know what? Boss needs to learn a lesson.
Oh, wow.
This has to stop. He learned the hard way. You know, I mean, they paid out. Ghana must go full of cash.
Who's gonna slap me?
She walked away with a Ghana. Of course, you know, such transactions could not be on the record. So, lady walked away with a Ghana must go full of cash. She cashed out, and you know, we hope he learns the lesson the hard way. Of course, I don't need to. Maybe someday we'll talk about sexual harassment, bullying, harassment. It's just, you know, a common. It's like the light bulbs in a toxic environment,
right?
But that's a topic on its own. And when the office is literally a revolving door, you have soldier go, soldier come, and the revolving door is spinning quite fast. So there's high amounts of turnover rates. Employees are leaving, like literally every day. A new face is coming in, and a new face, and an old face is going.
That's bad.
Yes, and then I'd say communication. Do you know that? I've seen a lot though, Chacha. I've worked in a company where, you know, there's if I insult you in English, it doesn't carry weight. But if I use your Ijile Yoruba to insult you, there's something. We're on air. I can't say it. But you know, they will call it ekpe. It's like it's not an insult. It's a step higher. It's a curse.
It's a curse.
Yes.
Now that one the pain pass.
You know, when a line manager is using ekpe on his team members, like, I mean, I don't know. It's all shades of wrong. You call somebody out. I mean, so yeah, people make mistakes. I mean, mistakes are bound to happen. But when you make a mistake and you call somebody out publicly, you berate them, insult their family, their generations unborn, their generations before them, and you know, you just make the person feel like a fool. And then I'd say finally, unfair compensation. You know, when compensations are there's no if I may say, there's no pattern to the madness. So Oga rewards who Oga likes, not who is working.
Right.
So you find people doing eye service as against rolling up their sleeves to get the job done. You find favoritism. Do you know that I've heard of a situation where an employee was entitled to an official car, but because he was not Yoruba.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you have those tribalism, nepotism. You're not a member of a political party. They bring it. Oh, you're not a member of our football club. You know,
football club, come on now.
No. I mean, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. So it comes in all these shapes and sizes. And if you notice any of these tell signs, it's an indicator that you're in a toxic environment.
I remember one time I was working at this place, and I was practically the only person who was working for the whole month. It was during COVID, and one time I couldn't show up, and I called my head of programs, my line, and I said, look, this is da. He just started using a cuss word at me, and he said, if you have a problem with it, call the MD. And I was like, okay, cool, because I don't have problems with anyone, and the way I am, I'm very fair. And I called the MD, and I said, boss, this is how this person spoke to me, and this is yada yada yada. And he apologized, and he goes, I'm sorry about that. I don't know how you guys relate. Then he went back to the person. I don't know what it was, but right after that conversation, the next time this person saw me, was carrying his face for 1 week. Suddenly later he came up and told me, Chacha, you messed up. I said, you asked me to call, and I called. Now, I because of the type of person I am, if you treat me this way, I give myself respect, and I either I fight you back or I just go another route. Now, sometimes some people feel that was a toxic space or a toxic head at that point, but he later became better, and you know, me and him continued a great relationship after. Now, I could have taken that whole conversation that I had with him and said, this is a bad place to work in, it can never change, and move forward. Now, I wonder if most toxic workplaces could be improved, or you think that leaving the space is a solution?
Wow, that's a very interesting story. And in your case, I say you were lucky, right? Because the toxicity didn't start from the top.
All right.
So I'm HR. So a lot of times these things get dumped on my table. I'll throw a scenario back at you. Somebody comes crying to my office, right? And says she was sexually harassed by the MD.
Hey, yeah.
So I'm manager.
Ha.
He's
What do you want
he's
to now?
MD.
Ha.
What do you want me to? I should issue MD query.
Yes, nah.
I should invite MD for disciplinary hearing.
Uh-huh.
Who will sit down?
Hey.
So, I mean, it can be improved when it's not all the way from the top. I mean, so in your case, it's from middle management or management, you know, so it can be salvaged. Where a situation where I would say it's close to irredeemable is where the toxicity comes from the top,
Right.
where leadership, I mean, so it can be improved. Okay, if leadership is open to feedback, right? In your case, it was open to feedback because there's a higher authority
Right.
to appeal to who would impose, you know, on that particular authority and make the necessary corrections. It can be improved if HR, you have a proactive and empowered HR department that can address. Don't ask if HR is the problem. I don't know. But yeah, if HR is the one causing the toxicity, just go and pray. You know? Just go and pray. But if HR is empowered, senior enough to have this kind of conversations, yes, there's hope. Now you could form allies in the organization. Your voice is just you have just one voice. But imagine if a couple or a group of you guys can come together to form like a pressure group,
Right.
to say, hey, look, you know what, we've been working all through COVID, we need a break. You know, so in that case, management is forced to listen because it's your voices are louder together. All right. And then look, you just have to, at some point, you just have to draw boundaries. Okay, look, I'm on leave. Put that, what was that thing called again? Chai, left my mind. That email that you put when you're out of office or on leave, the auto response, right?
Yeah.
Set an auto response. Oh, Chacha on leave. Any inquiries, put the email of your charmies in there. You know, your charmies would handle all correspondence during the period of your absence. So everybody, I mean, nobody is indispensable now. I mean, life goes on. The show must go on.
Right.
Yeah. So those are cases where there's hope.
There is.
Yeah.
Now, this is where we talk about things happening in our environment. We do know that this day and age, especially Gen Zs, we always hear, my mental health is wakaka. This is a problem. I can't be in this place. My headspace. Confession. One of the reasons, or one thing my brother always says, is that the only time I visit or the only time I'm back in the UK, the excuse I say is my head needs to cool down, my mental health. And I'm not even Gen Z. But anyways, there's some steps that a lot of people need to know. I mean, mental health is an ongoing process. It's a journey. And what are the steps or practical steps employees can take to protect their mental health in a toxic work environment? How do you think that people could protect themselves?
All right, don't get me started on the Gen Z thing, right? Because you know, people know me. I'm a bit tough on the Gen Zs. I think they're a bit fragile. All Gen Zs, you know, I think y'all are fragile. Yeah. You know, some of us that grew up in the military era, you mess up, military double, you pull you out of the car, you do frog jump, you come to school late in front of your parents. The military, the soldiers are making you do frog. James, do you know what frog jump is? Have you ever done frog jump before?
She has
done it. Okay. They know what frog jump is.
I've never done frog jump.
But you're not a Gen Z.
Excuse me, just continue.
So I mean,
I did on basketball court.
I did. But you did it as exercise.
No, punishment. I was late to.
There was a time
I was late to.
Yes, frog jump was
to the court.
Punishment, exactly. So all those things literally toughened us up growing up. So the idea of mental health, you know, and the generation before us, I mean, they witnessed the Civil War, they witnessed the World War. I mean, you can't witness war and, you know, they drank dirty tap water.
Toes and frogs.
So, have you drank tap water before? Dirty colored tap water, you know. So the generations before they grew up, they were made of different stuff, right? The Gen Zs grew up in a different world, so I tend I'm skewed, right? I need, unless convinced otherwise, I think they're pretty much fragile. So things get to them easily, it gets under their skin easily. They are yet to develop that mental resilience that is required to withstand the pressures of life. Whether you like it or not, life is a full contact sport. You will get hits, expect to get hits. So you can't go through life with a glass jaw.
Right.
One simple hit, one jab, and then you're on the floor and they're counting you out. And then you come back up and you're screaming mental health. Now, I'm not in any way insensitive to those who have genuine cases of mental health. It is a real problem that we're dealing with in society this day and age. It's a real medical problem. I'm not belittling it for anybody who's dealing with it. I don't mean to belittle it, but I'm just saying that to make it through life, you need some grit.
Right.
You need some. Life is not going to pull its punches because you are a Gen Z or you think you're a princess. All right. Life is not going to pull its punches. So you might as well just get ready to be hit and bounce back when you get hit. So that much said, there are some things you could do apart from, getting ready for those hits. I started by saying set clear boundaries. Okay. Look, no emails by so time. Of course, we need to be realistic. There will be cases of business exigencies where your attention is needed. Your hyper attention is needed for a particular period of time, but it's not all the time. We should acknowledge that this is the exception to the rule. It's not the norm. It's not the norm to call people up after work hours or at ungodly hours to get, unless there's a fire that needs to be put out or there's an emergency that is going on that needs to be addressed. But in the absence of emergencies, there should be boundaries between your work and your personal life. Once you're out of the office, you should have some personal space.
Right.
And the truth is, if you don't define those boundaries, people will blur the lines. Right. I'll just wrap up with this example. There's somebody I know who was bereaved, was in the midst of burying the deceased, and was receiving queries on the company WhatsApp group that this person was not responding to messages.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and when the person approached me, I said, it's your fault. Because
Awesome.
yes, because you were responding to the messages before. If you let her, hey guys, I'm burying a family member right now. I need to grieve. I need to heal. You won't be calling me. If you called me the first time and I didn't pick your call, you will not call me back now.
Right.
So in that case, it was a clear failure to set boundaries. That's why I said, look, set the boundaries, stand by the boundaries. You should learn the polite art of politely pushing back.
So you also mentioned earlier on off air that sometimes you might need to limit interactions with people, with toxic colleagues. Can you really avoid people, your colleagues? You also said something about getting enough sleep and to eat well to maintain your energy levels.
Yeah, so some of the things that will help you relax is you exercise. Your body is in good shape. It's in a condition where you can deal with the pressures, right? Eat well, sleep well, maintain those energy levels. Take a break. There's nothing that clears your head like a break. So that lunch, your 1 hour lunch break, take it, disconnect, and come back with fresh energy, fresh perspective. There's something I used to do once upon a time when the pressure in the AC, in my AC office is too hot. I go out under the sun. The sun is cooler than the sometimes the pressure could be so much that the sun is actually cooler than the AC in your office. Take a walk, clear your head. You come back and, look, there's no problem in this life that doesn't have a solution.
Right.
You come back and you're back looking for answers, energized, and you no longer feel like an elephant is sitting right on top of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the tips that Patrick has also shared, he said you could build a support system if you feel like, these are steps to protect your mental health. Express your concerns professionally. If the leadership is part of the problem, explore anonymous reporting channels. He said that I'm Tokamo.
Yes,
He said
I do.
avoid getting caught up in workplace drama. I think that's quite important, avoid it and strengthen your resume and network for potential job changes. But you know something, when you get into an office environment, you get there to be interviewed. Sometimes you don't know that this place you're about to enter is about to, choke the life out of you. So
Yeah.
what should job seekers look for during the interview process to avoid landing themselves in a toxic workplace? And a lot of times people are desperate for jobs, they don't care and they don't see these things. What should people look out for?
Yeah, so it starts off from the interview, right? So before the interview, you get the invitation, do your background check. I mean, Glassdoor, Indeed, there are many websites where you can just go there, look at the rating of the company on Glassdoor, look at the reviews of anonymous employees that have put the reviews out there, and you would see, you're armed with the information, what to expect, what kind of environment it is. LinkedIn is there. Reach out to alumni, ex-employees,
Right.
and find out how their experience was when they worked in that company. You see, it's employment is a two-way street now. Gone are the days where only employers do background checks on prospective employees. Now, as a prospective employee, do your background check on the prospective employer. Find out if this is a kind of environment where, you spend most of your
Time.
if this is the kind of place you want to spend your time in. And then there are other telltale signs. If they send you an email invite for an interview and you're getting this email by an ungodly hour, you know that
You're gonna work at
you
ungodly
will
hours.
be working at ungodly hours. If during the interview process there's any kind of unprofessional behavior, you're spoken to in an uncouth manner, by any member, of the HR or the hiring team, that's another telltale sign. Something I always do when I get to any prospective employer, I'm going for an interview, I always go to look out for the layout. I'm not going to call this, an office that is run by people of a particular nationality. I'm not going to mention that nationality. They put everybody in cubicle like, they work in like they're in a sardine can, right? So these are the things you look out for. It gives you an inkling as to the perspective of the employer about their employees. How do they treat their employees as human beings, right? Or do they just treat them as numbers, as raw materials, if I may use that word? So look at the high turnover rate. There are some companies rather that are always recruiting. Yes, you see I saw this vacancy 2 months ago. What happened? I saw this same vacancy 3 months ago.
That's suspect. Red flag.
Very red flag. Red flag. So and sometimes at the end of the day, you just trust your guts. So I'll give this example. There was a time I had 2 job offers signed, waiting for my feedback, and I didn't know which one. Same salary, same amount, 2 different companies, 2 different industries. Both companies were doing very well, and I didn't know which one to go for. And at the end of the day, I'm a bit spiritual, so I prayed about it and I just went with my gut feeling. Of course, at the end of the day, I did not regret the decision, because 2 years down the line, the other company where I was working was acquired, and there was a major scandal with that company, and I was like, wow. So my spirit led me well. So sometimes you're just going to also have to trust your guts and go with your gut feeling on that.
Is it possible to maintain professionalism and productivity while dealing with a difficult boss or co-worker? But before that, let me ask this question here. It says, good morning, Chacha and Patrick. I'm loving the insight so far. So, Patrick, in response to your comment about Gen Z being fragile, I like to say I think the older generation tends to glorify suffering, and sadly, they're stuck in that mindset.
Shots fired.
That's especially true for HR professionals from the older generation. In my opinion, they often seem more focused on asserting their age and experience than actually measuring results or showing you ways to grow. Instead of valuing task delivery and innovation, they lean into hierarchy and control. Honestly, they should go back to using payphones and maybe not use rebellious tech solutions of Gen Z. It says, oops, I am very fragile.
That person just broke the table. Didn't shake it, just broke every leg on the table. Oh, so am I supposed to respond to that?
It shocked you.
It shocked me.
Go ahead.
I mean, so I just say, look, it's obvious that we grew up in different eras. Okay, big ups to the millennials, the Gen X, the boomers, and the traditionalists. We grew up in an era where you just had to be tough. I mean, let's be fair. They grew up. If you've never witnessed war, nobody can tell you what war is. Some of them, the boomers and the Gen X, they witnessed the Civil War firsthand, not second hand. They witnessed firsthand what war is all about. The suffering that comes with war. They lost lives, they lost property. So there's a kind of toughness, borderline heartlessness, right? That would be ingrained in you when you go through hardships and hard times, that maybe Gen Z that have just read about wars and watched wars on movies and Netflix, you would definitely not have. So yes, they're tougher.
I'm still there. Now, because we were really out of time, we have about 2 minutes. We have 2 more things to talk about: how to maintain professionalism and productivity while dealing with a difficult boss and coworker. What are the key things to look out for or to do?
All right. So if you have a difficult boss, first of all, I'll go back to what I keep saying: maintain boundaries, right? Without boundaries, many things will go wrong without clear boundaries being maintained. Know when to say no. I said you must learn the subtle art of pushback politely. All right. You can decline things when you can. Keep it professional. Don't take it personal. Remain task oriented. Look, work must be done, right? So all your interactions with that person should be task oriented. Oh, we need to do this. Send an email. Find a way of managing stress. I'll just end with this story so we can manage time. There was a time where I worked for a boss, and look, God, I've cried very few times in my life. When they call you up for a meeting, and then you're in that meeting publicly, you're accused of things you did not do, and then they insult your family, insult your everybody, and then after they've insulted you, you have to apologize to the person that insulted you.
God forbid.
If you've not been there, I don't pray that on anyone. And after that episode, I just went to my office and I broke down.
Oh no.
I was crying, I was in tears. But then I had my support system. I just picked up a phone, called, I just called a friend, and the guy just, from the sound of my voice, immediately, bro, what's going on? Where are you? Okay, it's work hours. You can't take our call. Meet me at XYZ. I won't call the name. Meet me at XYZ place. One nice plate of semo with afang. Was waiting for me, and there's almost no problem that semo and afang cannot cure.
No be lie. True talk.
So going through life alone without a support system can be very lonely. So I think I'll just
that is the major. Now, lastly, real quick, what if you're the problem? Like, you could be in a space where some people are listening to this and saying, but now you're gonna be the toxic person. So how do you know? And how do you know?
I mean, sometimes we are busy pointing fingers at others when we are the actual problem, right? So these are some signs that you could look out for to know if you are the problem. If you notice you are arguing with different people on the same topic, I didn't like the way you talked to me. Okay, so I didn't like the way Chacha talked to me. I didn't like the way Gabriel spoke to me. I didn't like the way Diva spoke to me. I didn't like the way, only you. At that point, the problem is not with Chacha, Gabriel, Ajin, or Diva. No, it's you. If you are quarreling with everybody on the same issue, everybody, your toe is so big, everybody is stepping on it.
Wow.
No, it's your toe that is the problem, it's not their foot.
Right.
So yeah, if you find yourself always arguing, it's just the same script, different characters, right? You're just the same argument, you're just the character that is changing. Yes, you are definitely the problem. Listen to have people pointed out the same issue. Like, let me just think of a name. Emmanuel, you have a temper. If that statement comes up more than once from different people, then it's an indicator that maybe you should look into this temper tantrum of yours. Do you find people avoiding you? And then you say, people don't like me. No. It's not that they don't like you. Are you likable? If you are likable, people will like you, and that's just it. If you radiate positive energy, you get positive energy in return. So sometimes, if you're not getting positive energy, if you're not a happy fairy like Chacha, that just always has, that you are the problem.
But how can I, if I was like a horrible person, how can I improve and be a more positive person or a more positive presence at work?
So I'd say 50% of the problem is being aware that there's a problem. So the fact that somebody says, oh, I want to improve on myself, means that they acknowledge that there's a problem. Imagine trying to convince somebody that has a problem that they have a problem. So they would be defensive. So yeah, reflect. That's where self-reflection is very important. Think about it. How do your actions affect others and impact on others? There's nothing that beats active listening. Okay,
right.
Sit down and listen without wanting to clap back. Many of us, we are clap back kings and queens. Yeah, listen to take the feedback, and then let that feedback be the gold you use to improve on yourself. I think I'll wrap it up there because of time.
Very well said. Lagos City, every single Monday from 10 to 10:30. We talk about careers. We talk about things that you need to know. Today was about, toxic work environments. Just in case, because there's no time, you have questions, you can always send them via WhatsApp. And maybe on Monday, next Monday, around this time, we would answer them. It is 091-662-16,000. Or you might just go straight to Patrick on Instagram. What is your Instagram?
Patrick_UMO. That's my handle on
everywhere.
So yeah, Patrick_UMO Instagram, Patrick Umor on LinkedIn, Patrick Umor on YouTube.
All right,
that's me.
Thank you so much, Lagos City. Catch him again tomorrow. Do you have any final thoughts, any final words, word of advice?
So after all is said and done, if the environment still remains toxic, run for your life. I think those are my final words.
You're listening to Career Compass with Patrick and Chacha on Base 101.1 FM.